It is Friday. RawMikeRichards.com, broadcasting live from the DKI studios in downtown Toronto, 234 King Street East, out of the Pacific Junction Hotel. Canada, losers. Yeah, they lose to the Germans. Ooh, the Germans. Yeah, well, they won. Fair and square. 4-3 was the final. They were down 4-1 going into the third. Canada allowed like only one shot in that third period, but not enough to defeat the Germans. Like, honestly, it's hard to look at expectations just on how loopy a lot of the rosters are, Dave, except for probably, what do they call it? The athletes of the Russian...
Of Russia. The Olympic athletes of Russia.
Olympic
Yeah,
athletes.
we got to forget the OAR.
The Oars.
Oars. Go Oars.
So it's Russia, Germany. I've seen that fight somewhere before.
You have, eh?
I read a book about it once. And actually, the Russians kind of won that one, too. And I believe that probably you're going to see Russians win again. We'll also talk little gambling this morning. And, of course, in watching the international hockey, depending on what you made of it, you know, what you really thought this tournament was going to be like. I've got some great moments of the top players in the world, which I think we can all agree, for all countries, was not represented in this particular tournament. But they will have a gold medal game. I also a little worried about if you're, hoping for Canada's medal count to increase. By the way, they now surpassed the Vancouver Olympics in terms of total medals.
Yes.
So, and it will continue because, there's a possibility, obviously, with more games. Now, for Canada, like, how motivated are you to win the bronze? Like, if you're wearing that jersey and you probably really thought you had, I'm sure they thought they had a chance of going to the gold medal game against the Russians. I mean, that's kind of what we have grown up with in this country. Now, depending on your age group, you're going, no, it's really Canada and the U.S. That kind of came later. I would say probably at the end of the millennium, I guess, really. But we're, in 2002, with the Salt Lake, I think that really sort of cemented, I think, for that generation. Like, for instance, Russell, if you're looking at Canada in terms of international hockey and those that you believe to be your nemesis, you're probably not saying Russia. You're probably saying the U.S., are you not?
For recency bias, for me, I'm saying U.S., but as a hockey fan, I still look at the history and say Russia. But
how come you're not using the Russ can? Are you? Oh, because I think you got a nice new haircut and
honestly,
there you go.
Thought I pressed the button.
Yeah, there you go.
No, yeah. So most of the rivalry since I've been watching hockey has been against the U.S., but just with the historical context, and I know all the history because my dad tells me all about it. Like, he watched it all. So for me, it's still Russia for the history. But yeah, U.S. Canada has been, I guess, a more prevalent rivalry since I've been watching.
So you mean as your dad's doing the barbecue, he goes, son, the year was 1972.
That's right.
And the Cold War was in full effect. And it was Phil Esposito with his brother Tony taking Harry Sinden over. Does he do that kind of stuff for you? And you're like, Dad, do you want to hear this anymore?
We've talked about some of the
I don't care
Canada...
about Paul Anderson. I don't care about Jean-Paul Parisi. I don't even know who that is.
We've talked about some of the Canada-Russia series, I would say, more than the average person. So
it's good. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, well,
I like that.
Here's, boy, I'll tell you. If you go back into the annals of time and you take a look at some of the matchups, and again, some of them you kind of forget about. Now, the Soviets Flyers. Now, this is not the they're going home. This is the still the bloodbath that always occurred whenever it's like, I don't know why the Soviets at any point said, oh, let's see who we're going to play this time. Oh, the Flyers of Philadelphia again. They chop our faces off. Like, I mean, it just every game. And this particular team, like 1983,
yep,
that Soviet team was pretty good. I mean, now you're starting to see, with now players going back and forth into the,
Yeah, any any Russian team after 72 was a good Russian team that traveled through the States, Canada, pre-Olympic tournaments, post-Olympic tournaments, head-to-head with the National Hockey League, WHA, as we've seen earlier this week. They don't send garbage when they come to North America with the whole premise of winning North America.
Yeah, and showing their superior skills. I mean, that's kind of what was attractive for the Soviets at that time. So here's a look at 1983. In particular, of course, what struck me when I saw this morning, Pelle Lindbergh in goal. The late Pelle Lindbergh. And the other thing is Cooper Alls.
Oh. Oof.
I was like, ooh. And then there's comments by people. Of course, it's an international. It's on the internet. So there are people like, what's with the slacks? Why are they wearing trousers? Because there was a time where people, I guess Cooper, more importantly, thought this was cool. So this could be property of the National Hockey League. It could be the double
IHF.
Double IHF could be one of those things. Anyway, this is how it looked in 1983. The Soviets and the Flyers.
A free agent from Finland. Sinisalo takes the penalty against Kozhevenikov. He tackled him right there.
There are the trousers. Do you ever wear Cooper Alls?
No.
I never did.
No,
do
I
that,
didn't.
Don, because
You
he was
tons
in
of people that did, though.
Oh, yeah.
Kozhevenikov wouldn't have been able to get to that puck before the other defenseman of Philadelphia who was backing up the play.
Watch the passing.
Here's the Soviet power play led by their top five.
And Don Chevrolet doing the play-by-play.
Kazatonov back on the point. Timonev, Larionov, Krutov, the attackers. Kazatonov blasting the shot. Rebound, and on the short side, that's sailed wide with Lindbergh the other direction.
I remember, I loved that mask. That mask was fantastic.
Again, and feeding that puck out to Kazatonov at the point. Kazatonov tries to get that puck in the middle.
And he kind of was the next in line when you think about, Bernie Perrant was number one for them in terms of the goalie god. Then Pelle Lindbergh, they figured, was the next, in line, so to speak?
Yes, he was, yep. Supposed to be, anyway.
From the point, right there, right on Lindbergh, the save off Kazatonov. Normally, they would do this, pass it around for as much as 90 seconds if need be, but no, a booming blast again going wide from Fetisov. Those point men command respect now. Howe coming up with it. He'll backhand it, but not out. Fetisov is forced out. Yes, the linesman called it offside.
And there's just a little look again, sort of interesting. But Don Chevrolet doing that game kind of surprised me. I don't remember him doing a lot of hockey.
No,
I don't remember that.
I don't look at Chevy as the guy that was my hockey voice.
Don Whitman out west for sure.
Yes,
Don would be one.
Yes, for sure. And then on the sidelines a little bit later on, Scott Oak was big, another Winnipegger.
That's right.
It was that's interesting. It's funny. The only two NHL teams to wear Cooper Alls, Philadelphia Flyers, Hartford Whalers. Those are only two teams that wore.
And it seems like it really stands out when you think about it when you look at Philadelphia, because that was sort of the. But no, I never wore them.
No, my brother actually wore them, and a lot of his teammates. He was a couple years younger than me, but I never ever liked them, and I'm glad it was just a passing fad kind of thing, because a lot of people at the time were saying this is going to be the future. There's not going to be any socks because it looks like you're wearing a long pair of pants and you're in your jersey, right? It almost looks like the kind of thing that you'd go out and play shinny in, right? You have your jersey on underneath like a jacket or a hoodie or something like that, and you'd have your track pants or your sweatpants or something like that, and that's what it looked like, right?
So in Edmonton, sweatpants with good shoes.
That's
very solid.
That's what you'd wear going to the game. Yeah.
We're going to talk to Phil Gray, the lines maker, the senior
senior lines man. Yes,
he's going to call us from Montreal. He was on the show a couple of weeks ago. Popped in.
Had a good time,
and had a very good time. And so we'll talk to him because we'll take a look at, at this point, we're still talking about sports interaction and your ability to get an up to $200 from them for simply just putting the pull-down menu. Look at rawmike.com. You click on that because that's how you got there. And bingo, up to $200. So if you figure you're going to wager whatever it is you wager, maybe it's up to $100 or $200, they will match it. Up to $200 they match it. So
It's free money.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
free money.
You know, you make your deposit and you get your money. And, of course, that's for first-time depositors. So once that reduces, there'll be other promotions as you go. But the first-time deposit through Raw Mike Richards on the drop-down menu, as Mike said, that's your top-up right there, right at the start. They get you going. So if you're sitting there debating how much to put down, your maximum dollars for the maximum amount is $200. So if you're thinking, oh, I only have 50, but in a week I'll have 100, I'll wait the week and put 100 because then they match the 100. It's one of those where you take advantage of the first punch of the game, and 200 is for 200, right? It's a good deal.
Well, and speaking of that, Dave, I do have a suggestion.
Okay, fire.
This heavy music. If you take that money,
Yes.
and you want to blow it all on one game this evening, I'm looking at you, Vancouver and Vegas Golden Knights. The Golden Knights at home, the puck line, so -1.5, pays a 2-2, 2.20. More than double your money if they can beat Vancouver by 2 at home. They just filled in, Calgary the other night, like 7-3.
Yes, he did.
These numbers, by the way, when you look at the totals, we're into it's sixes. 6.5. That's a lot. But put it this way. What do you think that final score is going to be in that Vegas Golden Knights? What is that final score going to look like?
6-2.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're going to score at least
6-1.
Yeah. So you take that $400 in total, boof.
Yeah.
More than double your money. $800 after one day.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah.
There's a couple other ones that are interesting. If you're looking for
Dave, let's hold that as a tease.
Oh,
tease when
okay,
Phil Gregg comes on. He'll come on about 14, 15 minutes time. By the way, congratulations to Drexel. People are like, Drexel? What's a Drexel? Drexel is a Philadelphia area school that in some years has been very, very good. This just doesn't happen to be one of them. That year. It didn't stop them last night, though, from... They were down by 34 points. It is the largest comeback in Division I history. It was 53-19. 53-19. Even with like 7 minutes, they were still down by like 20 points. They win 85-83. Now, that's got to feel a little worse than it does, I think, for the Canadians sitting in that dressing room. But boy, oh boy. I think anytime... Now, if you had a chance to, when you played all that hockey, did you ever represent Canada? Like, was there an international team that you played where, for lack of a better term, you were playing for Canada?
Yeah, the only time we'd play against traveling teams. So there was one team that came in from Australia, which was funny as hell.
You must have killed them
because they were garbage. Yeah, they were more interested. It's funny because they came in like late. I'm gonna say early January. There's tons of snow in Winnipeg as always. And the kids would get off the bus and they'd see the snow and their notion is to go park themselves in the snow and just sit there. And it's like, well, we got to go in the rink and no, but it's, and they'd be throwing it up. It was weird.
Because they've never seen snow
in their lives. Right. And then I showed a guy, okay, snow angel, this is, and he did it the 4 days he was in Winnipeg every single day.
Oi, Dave, you can get Uncle Dave. And make it a snow angel. Oh, I tell that accent. I'm sorry, that accent drives me nuts. I can't handle it. Oh, come on.
So you're not a big Paul Hogan guy? Is that his name, Paul Hogan?
Yeah, I didn't mind that.
Foster's Lager?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the Biggins.
Oh,
okay. And then there was Jocko. You remember that? The Australian rules football guy. The crazy one. Jocko.
Yes, I do remember. Yes, okay.
Because they really pushed hard.
I haven't thought of that name in a while.
Oh, my God. In the early 90s, they pushed hard to get Aussie rules football sort of to catch on in Canada. You saw a lot of it. Now I almost rarely see it. Like it's going to be off-season time for one of the big networks. It's going to be probably really late on a Saturday or Sunday, like a morning or something. Because I don't know when it's played, but all I remember is there was a team, Collingwood. They had the same colors as like the Boston Bruins or the Ticats. Okay. And they were in it seemed like every match because that pitch is huge. It's a massive pitch. So they actually had a couple events at Skydome. Skydome hosted.
Interesting.
And that was sponsored by the Fastest, the Biggins. Okay, all righty. Now I've got something that's going to make you happy today.
Fire.
We just played the Flyers and the Soviets. And I was thinking, this is going to be so cool because we're going to get ready for the Canadians when they play Russia for the gold medal game.
Yeah. Supposed to be.
The Germans. So now they're not. But this is the Canada Cup, which, if you're looking at great historical international tournaments, now again, this is going to be a generational thing because some people it might be Salt Lake. For some, it could be the Vancouver Olympics, which was an unbelievable tournament all around. Like, it really was one of the best tournaments I think we've ever seen. But in terms of Canadians saying what's the greatest one, they're going to say 1972. If you're a certain age group, then 72, that's where it starts. What about for you? 87, that Canada Cup.
Yeah. Number 10 was on that team.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which,
Number 10 was pretty damn good.
let's go back to that pretty damn good team, including number 10, by the way. For those who've never seen the show before, that would be Dale Howardchuk, which has played not only a major role in Dave's life, but his daughters have been born on that day, so they have birthdays on the same day as Dale
He
Howardchuk.
sent me a wedding telegram via video link. So
Yeah, so it's sad. So now the restraining order is awkward. Is where we're living now, but not to take away from number 10 and this great moment. This is Canada Cup. This is the second game from 1987. Get a load of these names.
Howardchuk to Messier, cutting in. Messier centered. Rochefort scores! Rochefort!
Howardchuk to Messier. That's not bad. That's a pretty decent.
so it's okay.
Rochefort never scored a bigger goal. What a play as he came in. Watch number 5. He'll move in. He'll be the extra man in the zone. They were not ready for him. Sutter had a break but couldn't control
I miss
the
this
pass.
stuff.
Stelno feeding Omatop, number 15. Omatop moving in. Shoots one up high as it hit a stick. Beckhoff in front. Omatop scores on the rebound.
Now this is and Dougie Gilmore's on this team. Is he not a young Doug Gilmore?
You got it.
Ties it up.
St. Louis Blues property at the time.
In Cops Coliseum, where this was what most people perceive to be the precursor to a professional hockey team, a National Hockey League team being in Hamilton, and as we know, it never happened.
Puck just bounced out in front, so Fuhr.
That huge building, Dave, and the thought of, and it never transpires.
Back comes Gretzky. Gilmore back out of the penalty box.
Oh, there you go.
Canada carrying in. Rochefort to Gilmore. Shooting scores! Doug Gilmore! And Canada leads 2-1.
We know him.
Score with a goal and an assist, both times moving in from the point.
You know, I got to send that to him today.
Gretzky to Gartner. Gartner moving right in. Gartner in front to Gretzky. Gets it to Coffey, right-handed shot. He scores! Oh, Coffey! Here comes the
See,
pass
that's
out
just such
Gretzky.
interesting stuff. Here's the other thing too. Do you like the unis? Blue pants.
Yeah, I know. That was.
Blue pants. I don't know. We're all about slacks and trousers and pants today on the show.
I was gonna say
They're dungarees. Can you say that? Probably not.
don't remember that being on the flag.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, the blue. It's but I forgot they were blue. In my head, I probably always thought they were black.
Well, Gretzky wore it also in late 70s too for the juniors at the time. Blue pants. I think it was blue pants, blue helmet, or was it white helmet? I'm trying to remember.
Jeez.
But man, yeah. So
You never wore a Jofa, did you?
No, God, no. I was always a CCM / Cooper guy.
Yeah.
So CCM.
Ever have someone correct you and say, by the way, it's Jofa? Yeah, I'm not saying that.
No. You know what I did use for Jofa, though, and I'll give him credit for hockey sticks, because the curve was like this. It was awesome. The curve was fantastic. I love the curve on the Jofa stick. Then I started
Jofa stick,
using
yeah.
some Sherwood feather lights were big, too, because that was kind of the thing. And then a lot of people forget this, and Rusty wasn't even born at the time. There was a time at McDonald's that you could go to McDonald's, get yourself a combo, and then buy a Titan, which was the Gretzky stick at the time,
Right.
for a reduced price of $10, which usually you'd go to the store and get them for a whopping $20 to $25, which was crazy money to pay for a hockey stick. I don't even know what they are these days. Anyway, yeah, you could get them at McDonald's.
I couldn't imagine playing these days knowing how my parents are and saying, by the way, this goalie stick cost $300.
I know. It's outrageous, isn't it?
They would probably make me go into the kitchen get a whole bunch of toothpicks, and glue them together. For my 40th birthday, they gave me a pineapple. I wish I was making that story up, Dave. I really do. People said, he's going to open up, there's going to be trips to Hawaii. I go, no, there's not. This is a fucking pineapple, and that's what I'm getting. Why? Do you love pineapples? And my brother's like, actually, growing up, didn't you always hate pineapples? Yes. Yeah, hate it.
That's awesome.
Happy birthday. Some people never let it. I get pineapples all the time from friends. Yeah. My buddy Jeff Lumpy just still can't believe
I'm
it.
going to have to remember that.
He was, oh, yeah. No, it shows up all the time. They go, look, Mike, pineapples at your birthday? Shut up. Shut up.
That's tremendous. Yeah, it was, kids, lesson about this. We used to complain about $25 hockey sticks back in our day, and the goalie sticks were a little bit more. Goalie sticks sometimes would hit like the $50 mark, which was pretty pricey.
My favorite one was, I think it was Louisville, and it was the
Richard Brodeur,
the black one,
yes,
with the curve on it.
Yes,
because I said I'm scoring because I wanted to score a goal. I was weird. I wanted to score a goal, and I wanted to punt the puck.
Interesting.
And we actually got a chance. My buddy Rob Gierkink, who went on to invent points, the Air Miles points thing.
Yep.
Went to Harvard and invented that. So he's done well for himself.
He did okay.
Our buddy Rob. And he was a good defenseman. He's the one who played with our buddy Timmer on the Ryerson team. He got a scholarship. So we had practice where he goes up, turns around, takes a shot on me so I can catch it, and then I punt it. So we're winning against, I don't remember what the team was. It might have been 6 or 7-0. Mm-hmm. And here comes Big Rob skating down, right? So no one's, he's the last guy back, so he's going towards center ice. Turns around, looks at his own goalie. Now you can imagine when you're beating a team 5 or 6 Cobb,
and you do that,
and now you're taking a shot on your own goalie. Oh my God, the bench just erupted. I catch it, and I practiced it and punted it in the game. You know what? You didn't realize it's a penalty. It's
what?
A penalty.
Is it really?
It's a penalty. I got a penalty.
What did you get in sportsmanlike? What was wrong?
Delay of game, apparently.
Why did it go over the boards?
No, because it went straight up. I fell on my ass. We were both laughing. And I think he had to serve the penalty.
Yeah, punks.
We're going to have to go off the
bunch of punks.
And we're winning like 5-6 other people are like, oh, that does it. Oh, that totally does it. Now they're shooting on the just because we can't score. Now they're trying to score in their own guy.
It's true, though.
It's embarrassing.
It is so true.
And yet, nice punt. I could get it from the crease to almost center ice. It's hard because anyway, that's my story. How was that for the kids? I learned today. Russell, tell your friends about this. Your dad will say, well, back in 1973, it was Tony Esposito.
By the way, spoiler alert on that 87 game. Russia ended up winning the first game 6-5, and there was panic in the streets because it was a best of 3. So they win the first game 6-5. Canada bounces back in game 2 to win 6-5, and then in game 3, Canada wins 6-5. So a lot of 6-5s all the way down. Canada wins it 2-1, and arguably one of the greatest series I've ever watched. I think it is the greatest series I've ever watched, and just because we don't really see that anymore. When we see Olympic Games or World Championships or World Cups, it's always like the one-game series for the most part. But the amount of talent on those rosters, it was straight Hall of Fame. That's what it was.
Good morning.
I am looking for the senior lines odds maker, Phil Gray.
Well, Mike Richards and David Basco.
Yeah. Wow.
Nice to talk to you. I was just listening in. Let's just talk hockey nostalgia.
Yeah.
Because, I'm a little bit older than David. I know it doesn't look like it, but I had Cooperalls back in the day.
Oh, you did? You had Cooperalls?
I had Cooperalls. You know what we called underneath? It was called the girdle.
Yes, that's right. He's absolutely right. You put on the girdle and you put on the slacks, the Phil Gray slacks.
That's right.
There you go.
I bet you Sash looks good in those, though. She's probably the only one that does. Your sister, Sasha Gray.
She's coming to town for St. Patrick's Day because you know, Mike, she likes to dress up. So
yeah. Well, I'm saying those Cooperalls those Cooperalls didn't stay on very long. Yeah. Well, hey,
it's in the Gray bloodlines.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of. Now, look, we're talking about hockey here today, and we talked about the value that still sits out there in terms of the money coming from Sports Interaction that they are going to match up to $200. So you're going to throw in $200. And I'm looking at some of the hockey lines here today, young Phil, and I'm looking at Vancouver. and the Vegas Golden Knights, the puck line. So -1.5 is 220. I think that's great value because I think the Golden Knights fill in Vancouver tonight.
We think that's great value too, and that's why we're hanging it for our customers. And we had we're having a really great conversation between some of the traders here the other day, and you guys were talking totals and how long is it going to be before we see a 7 on the boards at Don Best for some of the NHL games? Because I think it's coming. Maybe the next season or two.
Yeah. Hey, Phil, before we get more NHL, let's go back to what happened today. And we saw Germany upset Canada, which must have been massive because I'm guessing you guys took a lot of Canada money. Is this true, or am I just blowing this out of my you-know-what?
Well, I'm probably going to be, a Twitter enemy number 1 and get a whole bunch of new followers and haters, but it's always good for us when both the men and the women lose, isn't it? So, yeah, we held a considerable stake. And I was surprised, actually, with a lot of the action this year on the Olympic hockey minus the NHL players, because Ilya Kovalchuk is not an NHL player, so we took some great money on that, and we held a lot for sure.
Yeah, big time. Okay, so do we have a number for OAR versus Germany in the gold medal game, or is that yet to be determined? Because I'm guessing this could be as much as far as the puck line, maybe even Russia 2.5 goals, or is that just going to stay at the traditional 1.5? No,
you'd probably be bang on there. I would say probably 2.5. And the money line, again, going to be off the board probably for quite a while, probably minus 1,000. I don't see that being a close game. I think Russia's going to clean the clock.
Exactly.
Now, in terms of Olympic action, you're talking about, obviously here in Canada where you see the men's and women's team. But what was was there anything surprising in terms of the action that you saw? What people were actually betting on? Because was it curling? Was it like what exactly are we seeing from Sports Interaction? You think that was a little surprising to you, or something that you thought, there's value in this sport?
For sure in the curling, and again, it was it was a boon for us with Canada going off. But we take a lot of money on curling with the Brier and the Tim Hortons and that. So that's one of the more popular ones. But Olympics for us is kind of a niche sport, and with the time difference in that, it's hard to keep everything updated. But for sure, a lot of the alpine skiing and that took some really good money.
So we're talking about some of the movers and the shakers today in terms of the lines. What do you see today? Is there anything that you particularly like for the Raw Mike Richards Army?
Absolutely. We got some Mike movers for you. So we're going to go to junior hoops. Harvard and Princeton, that game is flipped. The money's on Princeton now. So if you want to get in on that, it's there. And as well as the total on that, trending way to the over. It's at 131 right now. Number 16, Ohio State in Indiana. Right?
Yep.
The money's coming on the under there, Mike. So hit the under on 137. I know you like Manhattan and Iona. Look at that. The total jumped all the way up to 144 now. That opened at 141, so get on the over there. Central Michigan, Toledo. That's coming in. That's another one of the televised games, and all the money's on Toledo at 7.5, so that's probably going to get to 8, maybe even 9 by tip-off.
Well, something that we talked about, Drexel coming back last night from 34 points down, the greatest comeback in Div 1 history, which is crazy. But the one league, so on Friday, because very often I will play on the Fridays. That's how we've done it in the past because Saturday's so busy, but we obviously can't see those lines. The eggheads that play on Friday night in the Ivy League drive me nuts.
For sure. You see some of the totals. I'm looking at Dayton and Rhode Island right now. That opened at 148 on the total. It's down to 144 right now.
And look, I don't mind playing those schools, but when I got to play Ivy League, it's very frustrating. Because Harvard and Princeton, honestly, are you going to the game with the patches on your elbows and smoking a pipe? I mean, honestly, I can never figure out these teams at times because they're I don't like them. I'm not an Ivy League guy. I don't like betting on that stuff. I really don't. There was actually a cheer that they did in football, and I think it's Harvard. I could be wrong, but it was one of the Ivy League schools, and they got scored on a lot. So one of their cheers was, "It's all right. It's okay. You'll be working for us one day." It's a true cheer. I don't know which school does it, but the sad thing, it probably is true.
Yeah, it probably is true.
Dave, you got anything else to throw in here?
You know what? As far as action from this weekend, we talk about junior hoops. We talked about NHL, Olympics wrap up. What else is on the docket as far as popularity? Is it NBA? Is it the PGA Tour stop? I believe it's the Honda Classic. I'm trying to remember. What's kind of next of priority at Sports Interaction?
Well, for sure, tomorrow is going to be a huge college hoops for us today. Again, we're getting it towards the end of the season, and Saturdays are just massive. You got, upwards of 90 games on the board.
Yeah.
On the Classic, Tiger's going to be in the mix for sure. And I know George Russick from Sportsnet is going to love this. We've got exhibition baseball across the board.
Oh God!
Hey.
Every day now, there's a dozen games every day. There's split squads. There's a lot of value there, Mike. You gotta get in there.
Yeah, because the pitching, I think for the Pirates is like Russell Graham.
Yeah.
So might take the over. That's hard. Do you see a lot of action on like Cactus League, Grapefruit League, baseball? Are people is that heavy wagering? Because I think you really have a problem if you're betting on the split squad when they're playing like a girls' university or whatever. Like I see these weird games. Do people actually put a lot of money on this?
Oh, for sure. We're a recreational gambling site. Everybody knows that. Everybody likes to get a couple of bucks down, and maybe watch the Jays playing the Phillies today. It's at 105. And the Jays are a slight fave, so maybe there's a little bit of value on the Phillies today. And in Dunedin, right?
Well, what's really strange, too, that the fact that you say that, and I realize, of course, in my head, what's the first voice I hear? Well, hello, friends.
Yeah, Jerry.
And now gone. Wow.
Yep.
That is going to be very jolting, I think, for Blue Jay fans.
Different listening pattern this year.
For sure it is.
Yep.
Hey, Phil, thanks so much for joining us here this morning. Always appreciate the time, pal.
Thanks,
we'll
buddy.
talk to you again real soon.
You bet, guys. See you at Betty's next time.
Yeah, see, Phil gets in the bar reference. Didn't see that one coming at all.
No.
Oh, shocking. Now, Russell, did I see that you were flirting with some of those Hartford Whaler pictures? Just get a load of the Whalers unis and the Cooperalls, which I think here's some very fitting music for it. Today, the Hartford Whalers are sporting the long trouser with skinny fit towards the ankles, expandable waist, complete with girdle.
Love those jerseys. Love those jerseys.
Those you love that.
Yeah, I really love. Russell, pick up your microphone. It's time for trivia time.
It's now time for Rob Mike Richards Trivia Fridays. Brought to you by DKI Canada. If it's broke, we're going to fix it. Dave?
Thank you, Mike. Russell Graham put that well-known Hartford Whaler up on the screen, and I want you to tell me who that Hartford Whaler is.
I believe that is Ron Francis.
Correct. Now, part two of the exactly 1 for 1. Part 2. Ron Francis was known as number 10 on the Hartford Whalers. What's the first number he wore as a rookie for the Hartford Whalers? That's a tough one.
I know I've seen highlights of him in that number, but it's slipping my mind right now. I'm gonna say 14.
Oh, so close. Drop the 1. Number 4.
Oh, wow.
So weird for him to wear it too, because he was, he's Ronnie franchise, right? And when he was drafted, he projected exactly the way this team wanted him to be. He was Mr. Hartford Whaler, and he wore number 4 that first season. It was like number 4 on a center, on a full-fledged scoring type guy that they selected out of junior and so forth, but quickly turned it to number 10. He spent about 10 years there, and then he moved on to one of the biggest trades in Penguins history and won a couple Stanley Cups with Mario Lemieux, and the rest is history. Now running the Carolina Hurricanes, the former Hartford, or the current Hartford Whaler franchise.
There's playing our game. There's some brought to you by Coca-Cola. Everything goes better with Coke. That's what Pablo Escobar used to say.
He did say that. Very well known.
He said it a little differently, though,
Yep.
I think. You have to make everything go with cocaine. Hey, you know what? That make a good slogan for that drink. Yeah. Whatever you say, Pablo. Please don't murder us, Pablo.
No kidding.
So in our quest, Dave, today,
Yes.
the crowd still continues to go crazy.
That's okay.
What a terrible sound effect.
No, they're excited about things.
What crowd is that? Was during the Exodus from Egypt? That was a weird crowd. Looking back, we've talked about the Soviets.
Yep.
And the Flyers.
Yep.
That was 83. 87 was the Canada Cup, which still for a lot of people just an unbelievable series. The Challenge Cup Now, this is 1979, and I'm like, wow, I don't have great recall on this particular.
No, neither do I. I remember hearing the name, but I couldn't even tell you who won, lost, or
It's weird.
anything involved.
It's
with
weird to see. No, I think this is actually Russell. I think it's Madison Square. Is it New York? It might be in New York or something. I'm not sure. It is New York. Listen to the crowd. This is kind of an angry, an angry New York crowd, but it just sounds like when the Russians have it, or the Soviets probably at that time. There's nothing but booing. You know how there's jeering. Like, look, we're used to it when we go to Europe. There's just that constant whistling, constant jeering. But it's just such an angry mob crowd in New York. 1979. But listen to some of the names, including guys like Guy Lafleur. This is the Challenge Cup, 1979, game number 2, Madison Square Gardens.
Cleared it in, and Gillies belted the door. Gauthier couldn't pick it up. It's kept in. There's a shot. Dryden, Starry Cobb, right over to Kapustin. They score! Kapustin!
Listen to that crowd. That's an angry mob. That's what that is.
Starry Cobb makes a great play here. The rebound was right back to him on the point.
Gillies is in there everywhere, just like punching guys in the head. It's so funny when you watch it. Just doing nothing.
Stars power play into effective operation. Old Gillies was hit just outside the line. Now it's center right in front. They score! Bossy! What a play Trache makes.
Bossy.
The big move is Trache on the left board. And watch how strong Trache is.
Like who remembers? I for some reason I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on the count, but that looked fantastic.
A lot of people don't know it. Russia ended up winning that series 2-1.
Spoiler alert.
And
that's just great.
And by the way, the NHL All-Star roster against Russia, the entire roster was Canadian players except 3. Boris Salming, and we were talking to Joe Daly the other day.
Yeah.
Anders Nielsen, Anders Hedberg, Alf Nielsen, the 2 former Winnipeg Jets who were playing with the New York Rangers at the time, because what happened was when they went into the National Hockey League, the Jets, they lost most of their players and free agency happened, and they were plucking players as they go, and Anders and Alfie went to the Rangers, and they were part of this Challenge Cup, which Cheevers, Dryden, and Esposito were the goaltenders at that time.
Dryden. Enough already, Ken Dryden. Oh, just don't get me started on that. That's how we start fighting with my Montreal Canadian friends. They go, Ken Dryden was. Oh, don't get me going on Ken Dryden. Just nothing but bitterness. Speaking of which,
yes,
are you ready for the weekend?
Fire.
Yep. What? That just happened.
Yes.
That is.
Just become best friends.
Yep.
Yeah. My son's looking at it going, wait a minute.
You want to go do karate in the garage? Yep.
A 40-minute show.
It's time.
Son, we've been very busy. The top promo yesterday, because you see various promos that we send out, was the Madison. What was the young goalie? What is it?
Matty Rooney.
Matty Rooney was the most popular promo we did yesterday. It was a very sophisticated piece of comedy we did there.
Let's get ready to rock.
Make sure you get to Sports Interaction. If you're playing college basketball, you don't mind getting an extra $200. There's 90 games on the list tomorrow, Dave. And tonight, I'm liking the Golden Knights. Is that your number 1 pick?
That'd be number 1 to me. Yep. Bet them hard.
Yeah. Puck line, 1.5. Take the money and run. See you Monday.